All right, everybody, we are recording. You should see at the bottom, it should notify you that we're recording. And we are ready to get started.
All righty. Good evening and welcome to our first Lead, Learn, and Inspire Paramount Unified School District in conjunction with Teachers Association of Paramount. We are highlighting African American entrepreneurs and business owners who have made an impact in their community, here in our community. And I'm your host, Ardelia Aldridge. I'm a middle school teacher and vice president of the Teachers Association of Paramount. And this Black History Month, Paramount Unified School District has been making a great effort to honor our historic African American as well as highlight African American faculty and staff. I enjoy doing an interview with our students to learn stories and share how African American Month or African American history has impacted us, and our insights. But tonight, we want to expand our conversation for our students to the business community, and we have invited a panel of guests to speak about their journey and their impact as entrepreneurs and business owners in and around Paramount. So, as well as we have a presentation as well from the Small Business Development Committee. Is it a committee? Council. Thank you. We also have the Small Business Council here with us. So there will be a presentation at the end. I would like to get started. Mr. Frutos, are you available?
Absolutely. Good evening, community members, analysts. District is just important. A lot of effort with our partners from our Teachers Association to put this event together. I would like to welcome you. As you know, Paramount Unified is very interesting in the development of business skills for students, community. We have great programs for them. And more importantly, we have a great partnership with our association. So as we heard that they were doing a lot of activities for our African Americans to celebrate these wonderful events, we are very pleased to have a project like this. I'm going to turn it back to Amelia. Thank you for joining us, and we are very interested in hearing to say and also to continue fostering the business enterprises in our community in the interest of our students in business. Ardelia, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Frutos. All right, I would love to introduce our panel this evening. Joining us, we have Dr. Linda Tennant. She's the founder and owner of Advocates for Family Unity, LLC, a company that helps struggling families through difficult relational issues with the main goal of helping with reunification. She's a motivator and a role model for her community through her very civic engagements, as well as her business. We also have Mr. James Mackie IV. He is a Paramount High School graduate with close to 20 years of experience in the field of education at the K through 12 and collegiate level. Mr. Mackie has also had the opportunity to serve students in the areas of athletics, juvenile mentorship, college and career access, and a teacher of multiple academic subjects. He is the founder and CEO of the nonprofit called the Goal Minded Group. This organization is designed to change communities by educating and influencing, empowering young men to become champions in their everyday lives. We also have with us Brad Pollock and Mr. Joseph Jackson from the Long Beach's Small Business Development Center, where they specialize in business startups, leadership and management marketing strategies, as well as business planning. So be sure to stay through to the end of this webinar, as they do have a valuable presentation and resources to support aspiring business owners. Thank you all for joining us this evening, and let's jump into these questions. Thank you. One of our questions that we had sent in first, and I believe this is great, because we want to highlight what's important for our students to understand about the journey to entrepreneurship. What advice would you give a young adult looking to become a future business owner and entrepreneur? Mr. Mackie, I know you would love to respond. You're muted.
Thank you for having me here. Giving me the opportunity to be amongst such esteemed guests. You said what response? I'm sorry. What was your question again?
What advice would you give to a young adult looking to become a future business owner and entrepreneur?
I would say first and foremost, do your research. Do your research as far as the clientele, the market, the target groups that you are hoping to cater to, that you're hoping to serve. First and foremost, do your research and see what exactly do they need. I would say with that research, set goals. I'm really big on goals personally. I'm really big on setting goals, having a target date for your goals, if possible, but dates do change, as I'm pretty sure everyone on this panel can attest to. But setting goals, set short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals as far as, okay, this is where we're at, this is where we want to be 2 years from now, this is going to be 5 years from now, this is where we want to be 10 years from now. So most definitely setting goals, and your goals will be based upon the research that you have done about the market, clientele, the target groups, or on the groups that you are focusing on targeting for your particular business. I would also say, when it comes to business, and especially minority-owned business, if you're entrepreneur or if you're an entity, make sure that you have every certifications, make sure all your I's are dotted, all your T's are crossed, because something that I've seen and somewhat experienced, they will, the powers that be will try to call you out on those things if those things are not in place. So you want to make sure that any certifications or any certificates, trainings that you need to have in place, make sure you have those things in place. So when someone does say, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? You can say, yes, I do. You can show it to them, and you're good to go. You're good to move forward, and they'll feel more comfortable as far as, doing business with you. And in the world that we live in, I would suggest that you have a website. You're going to need a website. That is huge in the world that we live in, and social media as well, because those are all marketing tools. But once again, in the world that we live in, pre-pandemic or even currently in this pandemic, with everyone, including ourselves at this very moment, being in front of a computer, you want to have a website to where individuals can do their research on you and your company and your product that you're doing, and also have the proper social media channels as well.
Thank you. Those are all very important points. Dr. Timmons, would you like to respond? Or before that, we would like to welcome also Mr. Tony Warfield, who is also the Public Works Commissioner, chairman at the City of Paramount, and financial services professional, and also ambassador to the Paramount Chamber of Commerce. We welcome you.
Thank you. Please forgive my tardiness. Traffic was not forgiven.
We understand, especially working in this virtual environment. So,
Yes,
we're asking the question, what advice would you give a young adult looking to become a future business owner or entrepreneur? And any of our panelists can respond, or Dr. Timmons, if you're ready.
I am ready. I would agree with Mr. Mackie. I would also like to say that you need to have self-esteem. Self-esteem is very important. It helps to build your character. It also helps to give confidence in what you're doing, showing that you have confidence. I think you have to create a business. It sounds like I'm echoing, but you have to create a business that is needed in our community, a business that is thriving. And I think that with our economical status right now, I think that you want to look at your surroundings. You want to definitely make a plan and make sure that your plan is inducive to the business that you want to go into. So. That's what I would say.
You know, I'd like to add to that, if I may. One of the biggest challenges that I've seen with myself included is a lot of times when people want to get started in business, they have a challenge with patience. As soon as they get started, they might invest a few dollars in something and they want immediate return a week, maybe a couple of months later. And when things don't work out, they leave that plan, start another plan. And what happens is they end up being in perpetual planning stage, but they never actually get a chance to hit the ground running. So when you get started into whatever business that you're focused on, maintain that focus, but give yourself some time, because that time is going to allow you to learn more about your trade. It's going to give you an opportunity to learn your customers, and it's also going to give you your business enough time to grow, and you'll be able to see that. Without that, you'll just end up going from one business to the next and never having any success.
Mhm.
That's a very, very good point. To tie it all together, definitely having timely goals and setting those goals and checking in to keep that focus and know that it will come eventually with that hard work and dedication. Your work on your business, it will be there. Thank you. With being a business owner, it's different from having a job and just going in. So what piece of advice would you like to give a future business owner about networking, but also the work-life balance? And feel free to jump in to respond.
Well, I'll take this one. So you're talking about work-life balance?
Yes.
Well, I think in reference to somebody who owns a business, it's a very important quality to be able to balance working in the business, as you were saying, working on the business, which I'll get into a little bit later, but also being able to bring your the other part of your life, which is your personal life, family life, and so on and so forth, into the equation. And for a lot of business owners, it proves to be a very difficult thing. But the goal should be to achieve that balance and to try and maintain it, so you're not just only working in the business, you're not just only working on the business, and you're not therefore as a result of that not balancing your life with your family and extracurricular activities and so on and so forth. So is it important? Very important. And I think that most successful business owners are good at achieving that balance. And it takes a long time to learn how to achieve that balance. This is, you just can't come out of the chute and know how to do all that balancing. But it's a very, very important question that you ask. And, for anybody who's starting a business, I would say it's important for them to talk with other business owners who have already been established for a while to sort of talk with them about how have you achieved balance in your life? How do you achieve balance in your life, so they can have some sort of a roadmap for themselves? But yeah, balance, very, very important. And when I achieve balance in my life, I'll let you know.
I'd like to kind of add to that point by Brad. One of the things that I think it's worthwhile as an exercise to do as a small business owner and a startup entrepreneur is identify the various tasks that you are responsible for on a daily basis as it relates to your job, to the business that you're running, because that will provide for you a clear picture into the variety of roles that you play. Most business owners wear multiple hats. And by multiple, I mean they're responsible not only for managing operations, they're responsible for sales. If they have employees, they're responsible for human resources. They're responsible for marketing. They're responsible for networking. There are a number of different aspects of ensuring that a business can be sustainable and successful that business owner must manage. Specifically documenting each role that you play sheds light and insight into the different roles that are needed for that company to be successful. Then it becomes important to truly take into account whether or not you can effectively perform all of those roles and still have a personal life. You'll find that at the end of the day, you've invested 12 hours, 15 hours, trying to check every box associated with the responsibilities related to those roles. If you then attempt to work every job associated with that role, ultimately, you're going to be burning the candle at both ends, so to speak, meaning working nonstop. At that point, you no longer are the owner of a company. You are someone who has created for yourself a job, and that job then controls you. So the important thing is to take into account, again, the roles and responsibilities that you have, and then plan to start a business that serves you. That means ultimately you're going to have to think about employing other people to fulfill those roles. So that if you want to take time with your family, you want to go on vacation, if you get sick, God forbid, but you have to step away from the job, you have experts, you have individuals who are capable to step in and assume control while you step away without the business collapsing. So I would say, think about it truly as starting a business and not creating for yourself a job. That will lead you to the steps necessary to begin planning effectively to ensure that you've identified the skill sets necessary for individuals who are going to fill those roles. You've identified the roles that need to be filled, and you begin planning with that end in mind, that end being having a capable team around you to fill key roles, so that you've truly created something that gives you the space and flexibility to live the life that you want to live.
Very good points, all good points. And especially within leadership, being able to know your business, know those roles that you have in your business so that you can delegate, and especially finding out where you might need experts to come in. You may not be great at all the jobs that you're tasked with building a business. So that is important to state. As we're talking about your business and building it, from you successful business owners, how have you then moved your business into impacting your community as a business owner? We'd like to know how you can get into not just making money, but making an impact.
Well, I think for myself, having a nonprofit organization where the target group are male students of color, from the outset, that was our goal, was to impact the community. So, for me, it's very easy. There wasn't a transition. There wasn't a point where, okay, we're successful, and now what can we do for the community? For me, it was, that was one of our goals, was to impact the community, and within the community, first and foremost, is impact a particular target group, a particular subgroup. And when we impact that subgroup, that will then make our community better. Because as I like to say, better young men make better men. Better men make a better community. A better community makes a better nation, for the most part. So for me, it's been all about, impacting the community, the individuals within the community, and that, and everything else comes, because once people see, what you're doing, the work that you are about, then everyone wants to be a part of it. Everyone wants to join. So it's almost like, you give and you get, in a sense, while you're giving and while you're, going about the business of, doing the work, impacting, then, everyone wants to, come on board and help you. And then obviously the more help and resources that you have, the more of an impact you can make, or the further your impact can be. So for myself, that's always been our goal, was, impacting our community, impacting our students, for them to be the champions that they have been called to be. And when they do that, trust me, then our communities will change.
Excellent. That is are impacting the community as your business, which is important to know for our students that in our community that you can literally have a business that is just the impact to the community. But Mr. Whitfield, would you like to expand on how, as a financial service professional, you still are also civically involved, and also Dr. Tim, you're involved in the city with the Chamber of Commerce, and so we'd like to hear more about how you take your business acumen into making your personal impact in the community.
Well, considering we only have a few minutes left in this discussion, I'll try to be brief because believe me, a lot of what I do is directly responsible for my desire to see our community prosper, thrive. You know, a lot of the challenges that we have, and Dr. Timmons will appreciate where we're coming from. We're actually members of a committee here in Paramount called Unity in the Community. And with a lot of the social challenges that we've had nationally, we wanted to be able to address some of the issues that we've had, that we continue to have locally, by lending an ear to a lot of our residents. As a financial services professional, a lot of the information that I share with my clients and with my family and with my friends is information a lot of our children, we didn't get when we graduated from high school or when we first went to college or the military. And I believe that was a detriment to many of us because you immediately get into debt before you even graduate high school or before you even get out of college. You end up, what is it, $100,000 to be a doctor, $200,000, and you have these student loans, and credit cards are like they're like fantasy money, right? You know, you get out of high school, and the first thing that they do is they offer you this $1,000 credit card, this $2,000 credit card, and no one tells you that this is a loan, a 23.79% loan, mind you. And you go out there, and you know kids love those sneakers. They absolutely love sneakers. So I'm gonna get me some new sneakers. I don't know what the new fashion is. I'm gonna just call it FUBU right now. We're gonna get some new FUBU outfits. We're gonna go to these parties and we're gonna charge everything. But unfortunately, our children didn't get the information because our parents don't have the information either. So as a financial services professional, you know, it's great that I get a chance to help a lot of families protect their family and their assets, but it's also important that I educate them on the ways of money. In doing so, it protects our children from getting into financial debt before they're even old enough to have a decent job, before they even finish their degree. It also helps the parents because when you better understand how to manage your finances, you get in far less trouble. And if you do get in trouble, you can mitigate the challenges from that trouble. So when we have these conversations, we actually have a big workshop I'm working on coming up in March. I'd like to be able to talk about that sometime in the future. But when you get people and they find out they can have a better interest rate on their home, or they can get life protection that can protect them while they're still alive, or they can have a situation to where they don't have to worry about using those credit cards, or they don't have to be at a FICO score of below 500 for the rest of their life. All they have to do is just tweak a couple of things. And people don't really realize how they just finally cut themselves, so they bleed themselves dry, or they drip themselves dry because they do something like go to Starbucks every day, spending $5, and they don't understand why they can't pay their rent at the end of the month. So when you point these kind of things out to people, they have like aha moments. You know, it's like, you know, I really didn't realize I was doing that. I didn't realize I was taking $20 out of the ATM machine every day. And you never know where that money goes. But if you just stop doing that, you will find yourself having additional income at the end of the month. And of course, at the end of the year, instead of scrambling to figure out what you're going to get your kids for Christmas, you actually have the money to be able to take care of them. So these small conversations will help people start having more conversations around the dinner table. And that's my ultimate goal. Right? When you have more families having financial discussions around the dinner table, the children start to adopt those habits. And when they start adopting these habits, they'll go to high school, they'll go to college, and they'll be an effective financial person when they're in their adulthood. And then there'll be far less challenges. And I don't want to too far reaching here, but and I don't want to be political either, but I do believe that a lot of the challenges that children have, it actually promotes them going to prison sometimes, because they need money. So they'll start doing things that might not be necessarily good, and then they'll get in trouble too early, and they'll be in trouble for the rest of their lives because of that. So if they understand how to manage their money earlier, I do believe that it'll help redirect them on the path that they need to be on, rather than the unfortunate challenges that they're facing today.
Thank you for that very important point about finances, and definitely letting our students know about credit and what it's really all about. It's not what you think, and it is something to be managed. It's micromanaged. That leads us to a question, and that as you spoke about how we did not have this type of knowledge prior to going to college, and having this sense of why not go have a business versus getting saddled with college debt. So one of our students from Paramount High has asked, as a teen, what are some of the types of hustles or maybe even habits that fostered a business for you, or an idea into a business, or even some habits that made you a great entrepreneur?
As far as being a great entrepreneur, I'm just a man that wants to feed his family, honestly. I got to tell you, when I got started, that was like 100 years ago. So right now, a lot of the opportunities that children have today are they're incredible, actually. You know, I have my son and my girlfriend's son. They both are into shoes. Shoes are the big thing. And they start selling these shoes, and they end up buying shoes for like $100, $150. But they're selling them for like $2,000. So that's one hell of a market. Pardon my French, sorry. So, you know, when you have a passion for something, they like the TikTok videos, just like Mr. Mackie discussed. They have a lot of talent with social media. Influencers or something like that. So a lot of the things that got me started was the desire not to work for someone else for the rest of my life, honestly, right? Now, today, our young people, they have so many different types of talents, so many different types of opportunities, that they really have a library of opportunity out there. And once they pick and choose what it is that they're comfortable in, they focus on it, they get really good at it, they can market themselves so well on social media. They have so many friends, and they communicate nonstop for hours. My son is at 4 o'clock in the morning still. I don't know what they're talking about, but I don't really know. But if you have something that you're really good at, whether it be dancing, whether it be singing, you're a salesperson, you know how to build things, you're really good at whatever.
Thank you. I think that the internet just happened. That's why.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Wi-Fi. That does happen.
That's the quote of the night. That's the quote of the night. The internet just happened.
Yes,
Definitely.
the internet just happened. Yes, that's yes.
But you know, I think it's very important that young people know you have to have a plan. You have to establish a plan that works for what you want to do. You can't just jump in and start something. Sit down, make a plan, and really do something that works for you and works for the community that you're in. Because sometimes you think, as Mr. Warfield was saying, you know, you look at these things and you get financially involved in something, and then you want to jump out and get into something else. So it's really important that you look at your surroundings and that you don't plan on just working with one ethnic group. I mean, you need a plan that works for everyone, because that's where your money comes from. Your money comes from the community and what you can establish in the community when you're making sales and when you're starting a business. So.
And to kind of build off of that point, it's important to consider what you enjoy, what do you find gratifying, and what are you good at, right? And I say that because particularly if you're in high school, it's important at this juncture to give consideration to where you want to be 3, 5, 10 years down the line. That may open for you opportunities that ultimately are going to be gratifying in the long term, right? So you ask what types of side hustles and activities some of us participated in high school that led to entrepreneurship. For me, it was a love of writing. And that love was cultivated by a great high school teacher. I grew up in Compton, went to school at Sarah High in Gardena. And we had an extraordinary English teacher who really tapped our love for our inherent love for language by peppering his lectures with terms we had never heard before and forcing us to get the thesaurus out in the class and interpret what he had said, right? And then he forced us to begin using different terms and different language through our writing. And he enforced us to do it on the spot. So he would start a topic and discuss the topic during his class, and then stop everything and force us over the course of the next 15 minutes to write a paper on the topic that he started. We had to then read it to the class. So you couldn't fake it. You had to really give consideration. You had to really think and come up with something that was persuasive and that was going to be dynamic, right? That really kind of kindled my love for language and for writing. Fast forward, I wound up living in Washington, D.C. for a number of years. I wound up serving on a panel like this panel here for marketing based upon some work that I was doing at the time. Based upon some of the comments I shared during that panel discussion, one of the other panelists invited me to lunch because he liked my ideas and wanted to share with me a business idea that he had and get my feedback. Went to lunch with him, heard his ideas, shared my perspective about them. He asked me if I would write for him a marketing plan because he and his business partner were trying to get venture capital financing in order to fund their startup. I had never written a marketing plan before, but I could write. So I accepted the offer. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, I did research to ensure that I understood what a marketing plan was and what needed to be in it. I did research to ensure that I was truly developing a strategy that would address the ideas that he had in mind and that would be persuasive, going back to those lessons that I had learned in high school, that would be persuasive if read by a venture capitalist. After 2 weeks, I submitted to, Jim was his name, I submitted to him the marketing plan. He and his partner shopped it for all of 1 week. And they were able to get $1 million in venture capital financing. After they got the financing, they asked me if I wanted to join them and their startup company and help them achieve their goals. Although I did, and this was during the internet days when everybody was investing in startup companies and taking their companies public and getting a significant amount of money based upon the equity that it earned. The company went through this, company did extraordinarily well and crashed and burned like most internet companies. But that led me to understand that I had a future doing consulting for other like-minded entrepreneurs who needed assistance developing business plans, planning like Mr. Mackie talked about before. All businesses need to conduct that planning process to ensure that they have a roadmap, they have a blueprint that leads them to where they want to go. So I found that I could actually help others develop their marketing plans and business plans based upon that early love for and development of an interest in writing. So again, think about what you enjoy and how can you use that to your advantage to secure a business or a profession that you find gratifying.
He tapped into his gift. Yeah, tapped into his gift. Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome. If I had to give anyone any advice, if you can find out what your gift is, everyone has at least one gift. I believe that everyone has at least one gift. And of course, that gift has to be, cultivated and shaped and molded. But if you can find out what your gift is and find out how you can use that gift in order to make money at, you bring those two together and you're golden. And Brother Jackson, I just said he has a gift, that was always inside of him, but was brought out by his teacher. He used that gift, and look at how it has helped him, has helped others. So to all my young high school students, you can find out what that gift is, what you are talented at. Not a hobby, but a gift that we all have. You may have multiple gifts, but if you find out what that gift is, or if someone can point out what that gift is that is in you, you can find out how to make money using that gift. There you go.
I agree. And one of the things that they always say, as you said, Mr. Jackson, and also as Mr. Mackey has said, a gift. But I was always taught, find that niche that works for you. And if you work in something that you enjoy, you will never work a day in your life. That means that you enjoy what you're doing and you'll work harder at it without even realizing that you're working, and you'll enjoy it and you'll make money. So find your niche, your gift, and find that something that a mentor has guided you to, as Mr. Jackson said.
I love all of that information, which actually helps us as we transition into our presentation from our Small Business Development Council. Having your find that talent, develop your niche. Someone needs your talent, and
Yes.
definitely find a mentor. There's someone out there that may have done what you're
Yes.
doing, or someone that can help guide you along the way. Those are all great points to leave with our students and definitely bridge into our presentation. So Brad and Joseph, if you will turn it over to you at this time. I thank you. I thank our panel of business owners for your question and answer session. Very
glad to be here.
Ardelia, I think how much time do we have? Because I want to be able to answer. I want us to be able to answer more questions from the attendees. So
we have at least 12 minutes.
Okay, so I think based on the conversation that we're having thus far, rather than bring up a whole PowerPoint and do the whole song and dance, I think I'd like to just say a few things, which I'm hoping will be helpful. And my colleague, Joseph Jackson, can join in whenever. So first of all, just very briefly, Joseph Jackson and I, we work for the Small Business Development Center. And, at the end, I'll put up in the chat, the link to our website, so anybody who cares to pursue it can find us. But the Small Business Development Center is a really cool program that, of course, no one has heard of. And there are about 1,000 small business development centers across the United States. And Joseph and I work for the Long Beach City College Small Business Development Center. It's the Small Business Development Center that's located on the campus of Long Beach City College. And what a Small Business Development Center does is we help those who are thinking of starting a business or who are starting a business with all kinds of business advising. And we help businesses that are already in existence and have been in existence for a long time with all kinds of business advising. And it's really a setup that goes back to the 1950s, not long after World War II, when the government formed the Small Business Administration with the purpose of the government helping individuals start businesses so that these businesses could thrive and grow, and as a result, hire people, create jobs, and help people retain those jobs. So it was about job creation and job retention. And and all of it at no cost to the participants, to those who are being advised. And to this day, it doesn't cost any clients who are clients of any SBDC anything at all. It's all courtesy of our taxpayer dollars that we've already paid. So it's no cost advising offered by paid experts in their respective fields. And so we work with those who are starting out and those who are very well established, all small businesses, in any number of areas: marketing, strategizing, operations, understanding your financials, understanding how to build a business plan. In times of COVID, for example, navigating disaster loans, and the list is long. But it's a great, great program in which you can get education, information, and guidance from paid experts, and it doesn't cost anything. So one of the things that we talk about, and Joseph, is very, very involved in helping with business planning and business development and operations and all kinds of things. But one of the things that Joseph and I talk about, as well as the other advisors at the SBDC, is this very topic that we're all talking about now, which is, how do you approach starting a business? And what I like to do is divide things into sort of three areas. There are some philosophical questions that I think are important to ask when you're thinking of starting a business. There are some practical questions that you should ask when you're thinking of starting a business. And there are some tactical questions. The difficult ones to answer are the philosophical ones, because there's really no absolute answer. But I'm talking about what your vision is, what your mission is, what makes you the green apple out of all the red apples. But putting it in simple terms, what is the problem that you are solving? What are you going to solve as a result of starting this business? What problem are you going to solve? And do you have the skill sets to solve it? So you want to identify a problem that exists. And then if you know that you can solve it, you go for it. So, in the case of Amazon, Jeff Bezos started something that he felt was going to super serve the entire planet to be able to have access to anything online, right? So back then we thought we all thought he was nuts, right? Because what was it? But he had a vision. The problem I'm solving is I want you to be able to have access to any book and have it delivered to your doorstep without any problem, right? And I can list a lot of folks, whether it's Steve Jobs with Apple, and the list is long. But so what problem am I solving as a result of wanting to start this business? And then who am I? And then what are my products or services? And can I describe those products and services? And then who am I targeting? Who specifically in the beginning, as I get started, am I targeting? Thinking through these types of things, we help clients all the time, because it's sometimes overwhelming for somebody starting a business to navigate those questions and answers. And then, of course, really, what are you doing that makes you the green apple out of all the red apples? Why would I come to you for your products or services instead of Charlie Oatmeal down the street? Why, right? So those are the philosophical questions. Then the practical questions are, how much is this going to cost to get started? How much is it going to cost me to stay in business, even if I don't sell any widgets this month? How much should I sell? Just getting into sort of the practicalities of things. And then tactically, you want to think about, how am I going to distribute whatever it is that I'm doing? Maybe it's people coming into my shop. Maybe I'm selling online. Maybe I'm a consultant and I'm providing in-person services in someone's office. How am I distributing it? And I think a challenge today for young people, especially teens who are thinking of starting out, is because the channels of distribution are so available. You can sell on Instagram, you can sell, there's a million ways to distribute your services, your products. So sometimes the cart comes before the horse. Oh, because I can distribute it, whatever it is, I'm going to then start that business. And I think that can be a little bit dangerous, because it's avoiding answering the questions: why am I doing what I'm doing? What is my purpose? And so on and so forth. So I would say, for anybody who's thinking of starting out, there are some very essential questions to ask. They're great questions to ask. They're inspiring questions to ask, because they lead you to have a better shot of having success in your enterprise, as opposed to just sort of jumping off the cliff, as it were, and going for it. So that's what the Small Business Development Center does. Joseph, I don't know if you wanted to add anything about what we do, but we're here, and we are in Long Beach, but we serve 17 communities, including Paramount. We have a very strong relationship with Paramount, and are proud of it. So that's what we do. I don't know, Joseph, is there anything else that I've missed? Anything you want to add?
I think the points you covered were pretty thorough. Just as a point of note, I think it's important for students to understand the types of problems that you can encounter when you don't plan. when you have that burst of inspiration, you decide that you're going to sell something on TikTok or on Instagram. A great example would be a client that I had recently who, and I won't specify exactly the product, but let's just say it was body oil and body butters or body soaps, right? And she came up with a great formula for it, got good responses from some of the family members and friends she shared it with, and decided that, based upon their encouragement, it would be a good idea to use social media as a distribution channel for this new product and see how it's sold. So she put it on TikTok, made a nice little video. It was very appealing. And it turned out over 500 people over the course of the next 3 weeks placed orders for that product. She hadn't planned to purchase enough supplies to package products for 500 people. So she scrambled, was able to, by virtue of getting referrals from one vendor that she worked with, to identify some backup vendors who provided her with the products she needed to formalize, to make the body butters and package them so that she could sell them, right? But had she stopped and given consideration to the amount of products that she wanted to sell, has she undertaken the planning necessary to ensure that all the supplies that she would need in order to fulfill those orders were available, and she had backup plans to those initial plans, she wouldn't have encountered some of the challenges that she experienced when all the orders began to pour in. She shared the fact that there were nights where she slept 3 hours because all she could think about was doing what was necessary to fulfill those orders, so she did not disappoint those clients. One of the key things to remember is your first impression makes or breaks the opinion a customer has about you.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
That then leads you to plan accordingly to ensure that you covered all of your bases and you've ensured that you'll be able to fulfill those orders effectively. You have the appropriate relationships with your suppliers. You've identified the logistics involved in ensuring that you can distribute the product that you're selling effectively. You have relationships with the appropriate parcel delivery services, whether it's UPS, the post office, or whoever, so that you can actually get the product in a box. You have enough boxes, first of all, to package the product in, then you can get the product in a box and get it to the delivery person to ship it to its intended destination. There's a significant amount of planning that goes into that process to ensure that it gets from point A to point Z effectively. The key is making certain that you've undertaken the planning necessary to be an effective vendor so that you always have 5 stars next to your business's name as a result of the great service you provided to your customers. Planning is key, extraordinarily important. So taking the time to develop that roadmap will go a long way to ensuring that your business can be sustainable and successful.
I agree.
Indeed, I agree with all of those points. That was very interesting that you mentioned the student that you, or the person that used the social media to promote their business. You got to be ready. Your business may scale up faster than you think. So get out there and try. That's what I want to encourage our students out there. And we do have one more question that's in the chat box that asked, as someone under 18, would they be able to apply for a business license? And what are those fees according? Do you have to be over 18? Do you have to be an adult to file for a business license?
Well, it depends upon the city that you're in. So the way to find out is, so if they're in Paramount, for example, you call City Hall and ask them. And it depends upon the city. But the way to start to figure out what the deal is with business licenses is to go to City Hall in any city. That's what I would recommend.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm checking to see if you have any more questions. As we have run up to 6 o'clock. Thank you all for your valuable information, your inspiration to our students. And I would like to say, on the behalf of Teacher Association of Paramount, I thank you for sharing this with us. And Mr. Frutos, if you would like to as well jump in.
And as during the beginning, I want to thank you for your participation and for the great insight you provided. I think our students will benefit from this information and our community also. So again, on behalf of the district and my office, which is the business office, thank you, business partners. It's appreciated. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Ardelia, all yours.
You're muted.
We thank you again for joining us this evening for Lead, Learn, and Inspire. And we thank you for our students who have joined us. Did we figure out how to ask live questions? Our entrepreneur teacher is here from Odyssey STEM, and I know Jessica Tiref did want to ask one live question.
Okay, so give me 1 second. Let me find her and yes, attendees that are students, please don't drop off. I'm trying to collect your names. So we can track you. I know some of this. Let's see.
There's credit for tonight. They did some valuable information. I would absolutely.
Jessica, you should be able to speak now. You're muted, but I just you unmute yourself. There you go. Are you able to? There you go.
Hi, good evening. I actually don't have any specific questions, but I thank you for all the advice and for just sharing your knowledge and experience. But don't have any specific questions at the moment.
Well, we thank you for encouraging students to show out, and we thank you for your work in our entrepreneur class. And again, I want to thank you. And I want to thank Board President Quarenta and the rest of the Board of Education for supporting all of our efforts around the district to uplift our voices of African American members of our community and our faculty and staff during Black History Month. We thank you and we wish you a good night.
Perfect. And I will go ahead and stop the recording now.